Tory MP for Bracknell James Sunderland. Good morning, James.
Kevin, how are you?
I'm very, very well. Need to get your reaction to Rishi's green U-turn yesterday. I think a lot of people said, thank God for that. You know, I don't want to lose my gas boiler. It works very well. Thank you very much. I like my petrol car. I might want to buy another one. I'm not too keen on the government telling me how to live my life because of something called carbon net zero. Rishi seems to have realised that this green obsession was not really a vote winner. What is your position on Rishi's U-turn?
I think it's an outbreak of common sense. We're in danger of looking like a Conservative government again now. So I'm completely supportive. It was the right thing to do. It was an excellent speech. I couldn't support the Prime Minister any more on this. And we've got to bring the British people with us. There's no point the eco-zealots imposing their notion of the future on the rest of us. We have to go at the pace that's measured and proportionate and pragmatic and bring the British people with us, and that's what we're doing.
Bear with me, James. We're going to have a little look at your boss making that speech yesterday. There's one element of it I'd like to discuss with you, but take it away, Mr. Sunak.
But there's nothing ambitious about simply asserting a goal for a short-term headline without being honest with the public about the tough choices and sacrifices involved, and without any meaningful democratic debate about how we get there.
Well, James, he also said it's time to be honest with the people about the realities of the green mission, if you like. And he referred to something that the public have been crying out for politicians to accept, to concede, and that is that Britain has done a hell of a lot to be greener, and that we only now produce less than 1% of the world's carbon emissions, and therefore it doesn't seem logical that we should have to restrict our lives, not buy petrol cars, not go on holiday to Spain, pay hundreds of pounds of extra levies on our energy bills, when we've done everything we can. We're very low emitters. Why are we being imposed, or are we having these impositions foisted upon us when we've done a lot, whereas China continues to spew out 28% of the world's pollution and has 1,100 coal-fueled power stations and is building 300 more. There's an iniquity there, isn't there?
I couldn't agree more. Let's be absolutely clear. The UK government is a world leader in net zero, has one of the most ambitious green agendas of any Western nation. We've led the way for several years now. We chaired COP26 for the first time ever, legally binding targets placed into law, international agreements. Our own record is pretty clear for everyone to see, and we're not rowing back on that commitment at all. We have to do this. Climate change is happening. There is no question at all that our wider approach to plastics and to emissions, which we've reduced by 50% since 1990 and 40% since 2010, the list goes on. But what we have to do is to make sure that we have maximum buy-in, and that's what this is all about. And imposing these targets on the British people, you will buy an electric car in 2030. You will pay more tax for air travel. You will replace your boiler with heat pumps. Complete nonsense. That is not a Conservative government. They're not Conservative policies. We have got to maintain the 2050 target, no question about it. But again, it is right that we continue to lead the way, but in a way that's pragmatic, proportionate and sensible.
Well, I must admit, I don't necessarily agree with you about the carbon net zero 2050 pledge, if for no other reason that, like most of the British public, I'm not even sure what carbon net zero is. I don't think it's achievable. And the BBC, in a rare fit of good journalism yesterday, went and trawled the streets of Bolton and did a vox pop and asked all these people, what do you think carbon net zero is? None of them knew. So if nothing else, if the government is still determined to stick to this pledge, I think they should drop it. But if they are determined to stick to it, it's their responsibility to explain to the people of this country what the hell it is.
Well, Kevin, look, it's about ambition, and there is no question. Talk to any scientist, they'll tell you that climate change is real. We have got a duty to protect the planet. We've got a duty to bring young people, of course, who want a future that is green, environmentally friendly. I mean, that that is good pragmatic politics, but it's how you do that that's important. And actually, the fact that China is polluting the world, the fact that the USA and India are gas guzzlers, we've got a role here to bring them with us, because we can't keep burning hydrocarbons. But by the same token, you can't wean yourself off hydrocarbons overnight, which is why Rishi's approach, as announced yesterday, is entirely the right way to go, and I'm very supportive.
It was a great moment. I totally agree. I just wish they get rid of carbon net zero as well. I mean, do you really feel that the people of this country, you know, are incredibly committed to this carbon net zero project? Because I don't.
Well, it's an individual thing ultimately, but I get enough correspondence in Bracknell from people who care about the planet, for whom this does matter, and we have got a responsibility to the planet. So I think in terms of ambition, it is absolutely the right way to go. But again, it's how you do this. And you mentioned Labour in the preamble. What's interesting here is that there's no clear water between the Conservatives and Labour on this. That's a good thing for next year. The British people have a choice. You look at Labour's plan to roll out more ULEZ schemes. You look at Labour's plan to do road pricing, to tax car owners even more. I mean, their London-centric view does not speak for the majority of people in the UK. The Conservatives actually are on the side of working families, working people in business. And what we're not going to do is impose these huge taxes on people in the same way that Labour will. So I'm pretty comfortable right now that Rishi's put a marker in the sand yesterday, and it is absolutely the right way to go.
I'll tell you what, old Keir Starmer, he's missed out the letters U and N in his election pledge. He is still promising us a greener, unfairer future. It's looking pretty prehistoric now, and I think you've left him squirming here. So it's good to know that we are on the same page. Last question to you, though, James. I mean, do you really think that millions of people around the country, given that we've already have to give up some of our way of life for the green dream, do you really think that they care that much that Britain is a world leader in cutting back carbon emissions? And do you really think that Xi Jinping over in Beijing is lying awake at night going, oh my God, I mean, Britain is really showing the way. I'm going to have to change my policies. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's a bit pie in the sky, isn't it?
I am no eco-zealot, trust me. You know, I'm a motorsports man, I'm a petrol head. You know, I love my car. People need their cars. People need their vans. So this idea of, as I said, weaning yourself of hydrocarbons overnight, it's just not going to happen. But I do think there is a role to play here, and I do think that we have to take these things seriously. When people write to me about the environment and about climate change and plastic in the ocean, they're not wrong. And I think we absolutely have to support their view of the future. Whether China listens to us or not is for them to worry about, whether the Indians in the USA. But don't forget, there's huge pressure being brought to bear on them. Their emissions are sky high. Global warming is a thing. And over time, I've no doubt at all that they'll recognise that the right thing to do is to have green ambition for the sake of our children.
You really think that about the Chinese? I might disagree with you there, but generally speaking, I think we're on the same page, and it was really good to talk to you as always, James. Thank you very much.